Hey guys, my name is Yumi here, where I talk about anything and everything related to money and how to grow your wealth. I'm sure you guys have seen the recent news article about Singapore Airlines posting its highest profit in 76-year history and giving staff bonus of 8 months salary after record results and pandemic sacrifices. So why then am I making a video about Singapore Airlines no longer being the world's best airlines? Well guys, think about it for a second. How did Singapore Air post record profits when costs have been increasing for things like food, gas, and many more? And have you been seeing more complaints about Singapore Airlines recently online? Because I have, like this article here. SIA economy meals slammed as budget standard compared to army food and 7-Eleven instant meals. So in today's video, I want to share with you 10 reasons why Singapore Airlines is no longer the best airlines in the world, despite being ranked number 1 on the world's best airlines recently, and why I'm considering flying other airlines like ANA instead. I'll also provide some suggestions on areas where I think Singapore Airlines can improve on to maybe, just maybe, gain back that number 1 spot in Singaporeans' hearts, because I don't feel they deserve this ranking. This video is going to be backed by facts, there's no bullshit, so I hope that the management and board at Singapore Airlines are watching this. So if you didn't know, it was recently announced that Singapore Airlines is the world's best airlines, but having flown Singapore Airlines 4 times since the pandemic, I don't agree with this ranking. And why do I feel this way? So the first reason is obviously increased competition from budget airlines. Budget airlines have been growing in recent years, especially when Singapore travelers are price sensitive. Let's say you're going on a short trip within Asia to maybe Japan. Would you rather pay $309 with AirAsia or $834 with Singapore Airlines? And other international airlines are offering competitive services and products which may be comparable or even better than Singapore Airlines, which brings me on to my next point of expensive tickets. Singapore Airlines is known for its premium service, but this comes at a higher price point compared to other airlines, making it less accessible for budget travelers. Let's do a few searches here. An economy flight from Singapore to London in October, for example, will cost $1,305 with British Airways and $1,828 with SQ. For premium economy, it's about a $400 difference with British Airways, and for business class, a $1,300 difference with British Airways. Here's the tip. To get the cheapest tickets with Singapore Airlines, you would have to book 6 to 8 months in advance. Let's see. Singapore to LA is $1,847 if you book 2 months in advance, and $822 if you book 8 months in advance. Interesting, right? Airlines typically use dynamic pricing strategies, which is demand-based, so the busier a flight gets, the more expensive it'll be, and same goes for holiday periods. But let's be real, guys. If you know that you're paying a premium price compared to other airlines, would it be natural to assume that you expect to get better services and amenities compared to other airlines? But no, that's not the case for Singapore Airlines, and unfortunately, that's not how the human mind works. Our perception of value influences our expectations, which brings me on to my third point of cost cutting. Singapore Airlines was forced to implement cost-cutting measures in recent years, largely due to the pandemic. This, along with the price increase for flights, are probably the 2 main reasons why Singapore Airlines made record profits, which should be good news to me as a Singapore Airlines shareholder. But guess what? When you do cost cutting, something has got to suffer. And what's the most obvious cost cutting measure? Food quality, which is the 4th point on my list. This is the most apparent change. Some passengers have reported inconsistent food quality on Singapore Airlines flight, with some dishes being exceptional while others are not up to par. And I think that this is true to a certain extent, because on my economy flight back to Singapore earlier this year, I took Singapore Airlines and the food was actually better than I expected, even though the portion size was on the smaller side. I do have to note, however, that there were no fruits being served with my meals. It had to be requested as a snack. Yet there have been many articles online about the pathetic food being served on SQ flights. So I really think it depends on what kind of food is being served on that day when you fly, and whether it's a short, medium, or long haul flight. And I tend to generally never order the Western menu because it kind of sucks. So the safe choice is always the Asian menu, guys. That's tip number 2. And in my business class flight last year, which I made a video on if you guys want to check it out, I could feel more of that cost cutting. Before the pandemic, there were a lot more selection on business class in terms of drinks like tea, coffee, and alcohol, and the snack selection was a lot better. But during my business class flight, I felt that the menu was like reduced by more than 70%, and I'm not kidding, right? There wasn't even any cheese or fruit cart either. Even the teddy bear that they give in business class now kind of feels like a knockoff compared to before the pandemic. And what about this? Serving food on paper plates? Well, that is convenient. It's not quite environmentally friendly, but I think it would work for turnaround flights where the trash is going to be incinerated in Singapore for our electricity. But I do have to give Singapore Airlines credit because they took feedback seriously and removed them from medium and long haul flights. Great decision. I'll clap for you. And apart from inconsistent food quality, the next thing affected by this cost-cutting measure is inconsistent service, which is the 5th point on my list. Some passengers have reported inconsistencies in terms of service they received from Singapore Airlines flight, with some of them saying they got exceptionally great service, while others said it fell short of their expectation. And I believe that most of the complaints were from short-haul flights. And most people don't know this, but when Silk Air merged with Singapore Airlines in 2021, their crew members got transferred to Singapore Airlines as well. And Silk Air was Singapore Airlines' subsidiary, which mainly focused on destinations in Asia. It's not entirely a budget airline, but it was a more cost-effective option than Singapore Airlines. Now, you might be thinking why that would matter since they were the subsidiary. Shouldn't they have the same standards? Well, not really. For a lack of better analogy, and this is not going to be the best analogy, but I'm still going to say it anyway, just for you to get the idea. It's kind of like if you have 2 streams in secondary school, your PSLE results in primary school will determine what stream you go to in secondary school. A normal stream or the express stream. And that would be your interview process. And just FYI, it's a lot harder to qualify and pass the Singapore Airlines crew selection process than it would be for Silk Air. And if you're a parent and you have one child in the express stream and one child in the normal stream, will you still expect both of them to get the same grades on the same exam when both streams have different requirements? No, right? And let's say one day someone somehow decided it would be a good idea to merge both of the normal and express streams together into one large express stream. Then imagine this. You're the grader of the O-level examinations for that school and you're receiving the papers from both streams and then wondering why the quality is so different from one paper to the other and you can't figure out why. Well, that is exactly why. Now, can the normal stream candidates succeed and excel in express stream? Of course they can, but that would require proper training and guidance and they would have to want to perform well themselves. Remember, we're not trying to look down on anyone here, we're just trying to be fair. And if you have been on a recent short-haul flight, especially on a Boeing 737, and felt your service wasn't good, then that's probably why. But whose fault is it? Is it the crew's fault? Probably not. If you send an NS man who only completed basic BMT training into the battlefield, will you expect them to win the battle if you do not train them properly and evaluate them to the same standards you would a regular soldier? And honestly, from a customer's perspective, I would rather keep the Silk Air crew separated from the Singapore Airlines crew and having them stick to their original flight plan since they're familiar with it, and then slowly training them for regular SQ routes. And before that happens, they should be evaluated with SQ standards to see if they qualify. If they don't make the cut for medium to long haul flights, then they should remain in short haul or turnaround flights. This will prevent discord amongst the crew members, which seems to be prominent these days. And it will also prevent disparity in terms of service received from the passengers because guess what? We ain't stupid. We can tell. And then we talk about it, and then we complain about it. The 6th thing on this list is inconsistent cabin updates. While Singapore Airlines has introduced new cabin products on some of its aircrafts, there may be some inconsistencies across the entire fleet. Passengers may find that certain aircrafts or routes still feature older, less comfortable seats or cabins, affecting their perception of Singapore Airlines. The 7th reason is because of limited customer support. Some passengers have reported difficulties in reaching customer support or obtaining assistance from Singapore Airlines, particularly during peak travel periods. And last year I was on hold for 5 hours with Singapore Airlines. No answer, just that annoying music that they keep playing, and I gave up. And if you email them, it'll take them about 7 to 14 days to give you a reply. Seriously, stop outsourcing your customer service to India or Philippines. Qatar Airlines has better customer service. Try calling their customer service. You can get a hold of a live person easily without that long wait time. And Singapore Airlines, you should keep up with the times and introduce a live chat system on the website to handle some of the general inquiries. The 8th on this list is a reduced focus on luxury. They have shifted their focus in recent years to cater to budget-conscious travelers. Yet, like I mentioned before, the price does not reflect this. So the conclusion here is if you're a budget traveler who's price sensitive and want to try to save money, you'll probably end up booking the cheapest ticket available, and that's more than likely not going to be Singapore Airlines. Other than the reduced focus on luxury, there's also a lack of innovation, which is the 9th on this list. Singapore Airlines was once known for its innovation in the aviation industry, but some passengers have reported that it has not kept up with the latest trends and innovations. Sure, Book the Cook and Suites class was a game changer, but what have we heard since then? Nothing. Zip. So Singapore Airlines, it's time to step up your game and give us the next big reveal that will get us all hyped up to want to fly Singapore Airlines again. Come on, we're waiting. And last but not least, it is poor management. Honestly, this is the most important one of them all. When you have a captain who doesn't know where he's steering the ship to, the crew members have no control over where the ship goes. They're just forced to go with it. And when you're having issues at the bottom line, it's usually people above the line that are writing these rules and protocols. Management is kind of old school, and the biggest issue is accountability with those in senior roles. So in order to hold them accountable, there should be a way to allow junior employees to report those senior in rank but not doing their jobs properly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a system currently in place where it allows junior employees to report those senior in rank anonymously without getting into trouble. And what about the policy of apologizing instead of explaining? More on that here on this blog, which some of my friends have confirmed is part of Singapore Airlines culture. I'm sorry, but why the fuck would I have to apologize for something I know I'm right? This is why I'll never work for Singapore Airlines. And I hope you guys know that the whole 8 months bonus thing is really all fluff for the news. Crew members have a base salary and their actual salary varies month to month depending on the flights they get assigned to and actually complete. So let's say I fell seriously ill and I can't work for a month, and I only get paid my base salary, which I think is around like $1,400 now. Correct me if I'm wrong. So 8 months of $1,400, that's $11,200 as my maximum bonus. Doesn't sound all that great now anymore, right? But hey, it's still free money. So that's my 10 reasons why I don't think Singapore Airlines deserve the #1 spot for this year's World's Best Airlines, but I'm hopeful that they will improve and one day become #1 in many people's hearts. After all, they are the many representations of Singapore and a brand I used to be proud of. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any recent experience with Singapore Airlines, the good and the bad. I want to hear all of it. And if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And feel free to follow me on my Instagram. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time.